What's happening, y'all? Welcome back to the Justin Henry Show here, May 12th, Friday. It's Friday, right before the weekend. And, obviously we've had another team eliminated. That is the Phoenix Suns. We'll get into a lot more NBA on today's show. And I'm going to be talking about the Suns here in just a second. But we're also going to talk about fantasy, man. The NBA, the NFL draft is over. Free agency is over. The schedule has been released. So we got to talk some fantasy value on some of the bigger names this offseason. And, on the show, we don't talk a whole lot of fantasy yet, but it's going to start to get in there. And I'm going to get my guys, too. They're going to be, we're going to get like a little Justin Henry Show fantasy league or Champions Realm fantasy league going for the new cast and the old cast. But let's get this thing going and the party started, man. A lot coming out of the NBA. Obviously, the Denver Nuggets have advanced, so congratulations to the Denver Nuggets for going to the Western Conference Finals, back where they were in 2020. So Bubble Murray, all the bubble action. We're going to see if that was for real against either the Lakers or the Warriors. Game 6 is tonight. We'll cover that in just a moment. But they beat a Phoenix Suns team down, bad, handedly. Like, that was a beatdown, 30 points at half. In the Suns, man, I really did like this Suns team. I thought this was the best team in the league once they acquired Kevin Durant. I did. Like, for all intents and purposes, I thought for sure this was the best team in the league, the best four. CP3, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton. They got to blow this shit up. It's done. This is over. The Suns' run is over. And I'm looking at one person in particular. I'm looking at KD. I talked about it on this show. If you're going to be the best player, the one that they trade away all the assets for, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, first-round draft capital, and you can't elevate your level of play to be the guy in a series like this where the team absolutely needs you, and in a Game 6, you're doing the exact same thing that they did last season without you. What's the point of having you on the court? I know you just want to be a hooper, KD, and I've been a big advocate for your talent level, but your competitive drive is showing like, hey, you're not stepping up to these big moments. A lot of the criticisms that Kevin Durant had before he went to Golden State, are they still there? Because to me, it sure feels like it. 2 championships in Golden State doesn't really clear up a lot of the questions that we have about KD and his status and legacy. Now, if he wants to just say he's a hooper, that's fine. I don't care if that's all you're playing for. You don't really care about legacy. Just enjoy the game, bro. But I look at this as a legacy thing. And somebody who has to comment in this space and as an NBA fan, I want to see you elevate your level of play in the clutch moments. Like, that's what we're looking for as sports fans. And KD, I'm sorry, but as far as you don't care about that and that's not your legacy and that doesn't matter, as somebody who has been a fan of you and a big advocate since you came out of Texas, I'm dropping you down a little bit, man. The talent is there. Nobody can question the talent. The only thing I'm questioning is, are you really committed to winning with an organization? Are you committed to winning a championship? And right now, it doesn't feel like it. Devin Booker took over this team. Shout out to Devin Booker for his early performance here in the series. It was a great performance by Devin Booker. He obviously fell flat towards the end and then avoided media, which is something else I want to talk with Matt about here in a little bit. But the Suns are out right now, and obviously they got to blow this thing up. Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, both of them got to go. Chris Paul at this point, he don't really have a path to playing time on the Suns right now. They're better without him. DeAndre Ayton, he don't want to be there. Get him out. If that's the case, if DeAndre Ayton does not want to be in Phoenix, get him out. It's an anchor for your team. It's one of those things that just hurts your team more than it helps your team. Get him out of there. Get some cap space because that'll help you a lot more right now than DeAndre Ayton sitting in a Game 6 with a rib contusion. I know injuries are very difficult, right? Injuries are one of those things that only NBA players know what they're going through. Professional sports players, they know what it's like. But a rib contusion in Game 6, where you're sitting on the sideline kind of smirking and looking around at everybody, DeAndre Ayton, get your ass out there too. CP3, DeAndre Ayton, both get out of there. KD and Book, I got to see a lot more from you next year. I'm getting a little passionate about this Sun. So I need the little balance right now. I'm gonna bring my boy Matt in, man. And Bone HD in the building. What's good, Matt?
I'm gonna add to it. Get Monty Williams out of there.
Get Monty out of there too. You think it's time to get him out too?
I think it's time. New ownership. I think he's not happy with how things have gone here. This is a Suns team that sold off their entire future for a championship run, and they can't even make it to the conference finals.
I like Monty Williams as a coach, though. And, is this one of those situations where the talent isn't there, or could they have a better coach? Right. So you have to start questioning that after bad L's. That's a very underprepared Suns team coming into game 6. And that's not the first year in a row, the second year in a row, and it happened in Dallas too last season. You can't come underprepared in these situations. Now, I know they had a finals run with them, so that's fine. I got to give them that. We've seen some other finals runs coaches get
what I'm saying.
Budenholzer and Nick Nurse. So is it time to start looking at Monty Williams? I'm not quite there yet.
Okay.
Not, especially because they were missing 2 key players going into game 6. But all eyes on Monty Williams next year, all eyes on Booker and KD next year. And Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, both their asses are gone. They got to be gone.
Justin, imagine if I would have told you, if we had a show yesterday, I came on and I said, Cam Payne scores 31 points, right? You immediately were going to game 7.
Yes,
this team lost by 25
if you got
points.
15 in the first half from Cam Payne shooting the 3-ball the way he was shooting it, yes, 31 overall, yes, you're going to game 7. I thought that's the piece that they needed. Chris Paul's out, cool. Cam Payne steps up and really takes over Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton scoring.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I was watching that game and I kept thinking to myself, like, this is your season on the line. And this is the performance you're going to show. I mean, I see people putting the memes of like, last year with Luka's face looking up at Booker and putting Jokic's face there. And it's like the same story 2 years in a row. And that's where like I kind of question, as you said before, the coaching, like the preparation and these guys, like, does Monty Williams, does he not have the entire locker room? Like, what's going on? How does a team come out this flat 2 straight years, especially, like you said, adding a piece like Kevin Durant?
It's just one of those things when you look at it overall in the landscape of it, something has to change with the Suns. Something does. And we're not changing Devin Booker. We're not changing KD. But yes, a point guard change is necessary. And, if I'm the Suns, obviously you're planning for like Malibu. You're planning for Maui right now. You're planning for a Caribbean, a nice trip. But if I'm the Suns GM, the one thing I'm planning for is a massive trade. Now, you got a guy like Chris Paul. You got a guy like DeAndre Ayton. It opens up a lot for you because there's a team that thinks they're content, that thinks they're a veteran piece away and a big away from making that happen. I'm looking at Portland and I'm looking at Atlanta. You can add another guard from one of those teams. I don't even have to drop the names.
You don't even need to.
But if you get a guard from one of those teams, it changes things for Portland. I think it's attainable too. So you give up. I know you gave up a lot of draft capital, but you can get one of those pieces and some role players. You might be cooking in Phoenix. But Phoenix, for as hot as they were at home, they got destroyed game 6, man. I don't even want to talk. They got me fired up for the episode today, Matt. I came in this Friday. I was feeling good. I started thinking about it last. I was like, man, this Suns team is pissing me off, bro. Like, it got to a point where I'm watching, like, they just gave up.
They did.
And then you got D Book at the end of the game. There was a lot of criticism we had for Dylan Brooks walking out, for them avoiding the media. And Devin Booker had an opportunity to be like, you know what? We failed. We're going to come back next year, take ownership as a leader. And he walked out. You know what? And he did the same thing in that summer training when he did, hey, we can't be doubling right now. When the moments get tough, why is D Book running away from stuff? That's not what leaders do.
It's not a good look at all whatsoever.
Got a couple questions coming in from the chef. What's happening? He said, hey, fellas, 2 questions. Fantasy football question. The fantasy questions are coming in. We talked about it. The draft has ended. The schedule is out. Now is the time where we start the speculation. And I ain't gonna lie. I know, Matt, you got some growing to do in this fantasy football space, but your boy is a dog at fantasy. A dog. I'm not lying. And people know me. That's what they know me for getting these things right. Fantasy football question, 10-team PPR. Keep wanting to draft Amari Cooper over Garrett Wilson in the 3 to 4 round range. Am I crazy? Also, is Bijan a lock over Saquon Barkley? This is all redraft. So for the first question, yes, I absolutely think you're crazy for taking Amari Cooper over Garrett Wilson. Now, I don't think it's because Amari Cooper won't be good this season. I think Amari Cooper is going to do phenomenal, especially with the Browns planning on opening it up. And if Deshaun Watson comes and plays like anything Deshaun Watson level like he was in Houston, Amari Cooper should have a fantastic year, top 15 wide receiver. But for passing up on Garrett Wilson, the one thing you're passing up on is the potential to have a top 5 wide receiver this year. I'm not calling him that yet, but with Aaron Rodgers, if he really locks into a receiver and likes a receiver, Matt, you notice we've seen Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson. We've seen a lot of Aaron Rodgers guys get force-fed the ball. I don't think Garrett Wilson's a 1,500-yard to 2,000-yard receiver, but I do think we're in the double-digit touchdown range with Garrett Wilson, which is where I don't necessarily see Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper can be about 12, 1,300 yards, strong 7, 8 touchdown year. But with Garrett Wilson, he could literally be a 15 touchdown guy and none of us would blink an eye. If Amari Cooper did that, we'd all be like, damn, that's the best Amari Cooper we've ever seen. So I think, yes, you're passing on, you're going for the floor with Amari Cooper. Garrett Wilson is the upside that you want in that range. I would take him over Amari Cooper and not pass. And then your second question, is Bijan a lock over Saquon Barkley? We're not doing this yet with Bijan Robinson, Matt. We got to see him play. Look, the Chef 93, man. I get it. A lot of analysts right now are ranking Bijan Robinson ahead of Saquon Barkley, right? They're saying that he has the potential generational talent, but that's what Saquon Barkley was when he came out. And I know he finishes the RB1. That's also with a Giants team that did have a little bit of lack of talent around them. Atlanta not only had a 1,000-yard rusher last year in Tyler Algier, also has Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and a young quarterback in his second year who is really inexperienced. So unless you're planning on Desmond Ridder leading this team for multiple touchdown drives, finishing with Bijan Robinson touchdowns all season long, I think we got to temper the expectations a bit. Saquon, we know what his role is in New York. Bijan hype, man. Is that what they preaching out there in the Texas world, bro? That Bijan's gonna come in here and be the best running back in the league?
Hey, I'm not mad about it. I understand what you're saying there because it's funny. Everything that's being said about Bijan is the same thing that we heard about Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley, don't get me wrong. Like when there was rumors about him potentially coming to the Bears, like if they didn't re-sign him, I was all for that.
Yeah. One of the things Saquon does, man, it's like I think those injury years where he was hurt kind of hurt him a little bit, right? Like everybody has such a negative perception on him. And you know what? We're going to do that with all these young backs that come in. We get so hyped about him. Javonte Williams. Oh, he's a first-round pick. And I know he got hurt, but he also struggled at times in over the course of his career. The excitement is there. Breece Hall. Oh, we got to draft this guy in the top 20. And it's like, I'm not saying don't draft Bijan Robinson in the first round at all, but I'm saying just temper your expectations. These guys have to play the game. They have to earn their roles. Breece Hall last year, everybody thought he was just going to come in, be the starter over Michael Carter. It took a few weeks for us to see the Breece Hall that we wanted to see. When it happens, it's fine. But now you just missed out on valuable weeks. If this is a timeshare in Atlanta, if this is somewhat for 6 weeks, if Tyler Algier showing, hey, we can run the ball through him, Desmond Ridder's using his legs, Cordero Patterson is still some kind of mainstay in the backfield, I don't see all that happening. But if that is, now you have inherited risk with Bijan. I think he'll get there at some point this season. There will be RB1 weeks for Bijan Robinson, especially in his career. And I'm sure there will be a time where we're talking about him on this show or in fantasy space as the number 1 pick. But we can't do that too early. You're drafting him at his ceiling right now. That's Bijan Robinson's ceiling is a top 5, top 3 running back. You're having to draft him at that. Unless you think he's getting 1,800 yards and 15 touchdowns, I'm not taking him at that high. He also commented and said, appreciate you guys. My draft is tonight. Y'all got drafts in May?
Whoa. Is that normal? I'm new. I'm trying to get back into this space. Is that usually? Is that a little early?
Hell no, we're not drafted in May. Hey, Chef, you need a new league. You need to join the Champions Round League when we get that thing going, man. May draft, unless it's Dynasty. Like Dynasty, you can draft right now, Dynasty.
Okay.
But redraft, there's so many things that happen. We haven't had OTAs. We haven't had training camp, preseason. Some guys still haven't even signed yet. Like if you were to draft Zeke and Leonard Fournette, you don't even know where they're going yet. But Wilson and Saquon locked in. Hey, we're going to win you a league this year. Keep tapping in with us, man. Before we get back into hoop, let's go over a couple other player values. We talked about Bijan Robinson. I'm going to give my take on him. And then, Matt, I just want you, as a fan of the game, I want you to tell me if I'm off base or if I got something working.
Okay.
All right. I want you to keep me real because a lot of times I get passionate about this stuff, bro.
That's
Because
what
I
we love
think I
about
know
you.
I be winning a lot. And so when I win a lot, I get cocky.
It gets your head.
I get cocky, right? And I'm like, you know what? I know my stuff. I know my process and it works. But maybe I'm feeling one way. I'm leaning one way, too heavy. CeeDee Lamb right now. CeeDee Lamb, right? A very successful year last year for CeeDee Lamb. We saw the resurgence of CeeDee Lamb. And obviously Dak Prescott's got a lot to do with that. But Kellen Moore is out in Dallas. CeeDee Lamb's going as the wide receiver 7 right now, behind the likes of Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase. Where do you see that upside being a little higher than that? Because right now, I think he has a lot more potential than the wide receiver 7. I can see him being a top 5 wide receiver this year.
No, I agree. And what's the blanking on the tight end that he's gone, right? Dak's
yes,
guy.
Dalton Schultz.
Dalton Schultz is gone, which that was kind of Dak's go-to guy there. And I think, when they got rid of Amari Cooper, they realized that CeeDee was going to step up into this wide receiver 1 role. And we're going to see hopefully another year of that. I think CeeDee Lamb is a phenomenal talent. I think he is a fantastic player. I have a lot of question marks, and this is a conversation for down the line about Dak Prescott come playoff time. But for right now, for the regular season and that Dallas Cowboy team, the defense is going to get turnovers, put the offense in good situations. I think it could be even a little bit higher than number 7.
I do too. And McCarthy running the show now, like it changes this offense a little bit. We got Tony Pollard in there, so they're trying to speed things up, not necessarily go over the grinder route with Zeke anymore, unless they bring him back, obviously. But the focus now is Tony Pollard, right, in this defense. So I think they are going to get back to their roots. We saw Dak kind of deal with that injury the first year and then never really looked like himself in the first half of last year after coming back for the injury. But CeeDee Lamb did finish the season really strong. So I could see him having a top 5 season. It would not shock me at all. Do I think he could be the wide receiver 1? No. But I think that's why he's probably down behind your Cooper Kupps, your Devontae Adams, your Jeffersons, your Jamar Chases, because those guys have the wide receiver 1 overall in fantasy potential. I'm not sure CeeDee has that, especially since they've got Brandon Cooks. All right, next player I want to talk about is from your team. And he has my first name, Justin Fields, a guy who we saw rocket last year. I mean, 40-point games back-to-back, almost 200-yard rushing efforts. Like, Justin Fields was him in fantasy for a while. He got hurt, banged up, came back towards the end of the year. But now we're having to take him a lot earlier in drafts. You can't get him at the back end of your drafts anymore. Justin Fields is currently going as the number 6 quarterback behind Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson, which feels like a pretty good spot for him. I feel like that's showing Justin Fields a lot of love.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's funny because last year the fantasy space almost was praising Justin Fields more than anywhere else because of what he was doing with his legs and how valuable that is towards fantasy. And, you see people online like, oh, he's just a running back that plays quarterback and all that stuff. And those comments drive me insane because if you watched him play at Ohio State, he's not a running back. The kid's got an arm. But those names you put, those are some of the top tier elite quarterbacks we have in the league. I love that. That was, I'm fine with that spot. I'm happy with that. Thank you for sharing that information with me going into the season.
But see, I think that might be the issue is that a lot of times you're taking these guys and that's the high point, right? You're like, he's with all these great quarterbacks. I think fantasy wise, he's there and he'll have weeks where he's going to be the number 1 QB. But we also got to worry. It's kind of like Lamar, you know what I mean? Like he's going to have some down weeks. The weeks he's not running, he'll have some down weeks. But the one thing Lamar doesn't have to deal with that, unfortunately, Justin Fields does have to deal with is that weather come week 15, week 16, week 17, those snow games. And the wind there, the wind in Chicago really plays a factor. So I got to see him improve as a passer. I think that the Bears went out and got DJ Moore for that reason. They probably want him to protect himself and not use his legs as much. So to me, I'm not necessarily all in on Justin Fields. I think it's a pretty good spot for him. Number 6, number 7 in fantasy. You get the upside, very minimal downside when it comes to Justin Fields because he has a very high floor. The only thing you're concerned about, really, injuries, right?
Wait, we're going to be talking about QB1 once they move to Arlington Heights and they have that dome though.
Hey, once they get the dome, it's a whole different conversation. You know, the Bears haven't had. I saw the Bears haven't had a 4,000-yard passer in like I want to say like 30-something years.
That's why everyone's so crazy. That's why these Bears fans and myself are, over the moon and, always like, it's like every time I'd never say, Jay Cutler was a great quarterback and I love smoking Jay, but, we've been waiting for something like this and hopefully,
Well, the wait continues for a 4,000-yard passer, but at least you got somebody who's good in fantasy in 3 dynasty leagues, and we always do an early redraft for speculation. Well, Chef, if you got any more fantasy questions about players, drop them in the comments. We'll be going over them over the course of the show here. I'll answer them directly for you too and give you some feedback on that. But congratulations on your early draft. At least you're knocking one out the way. MT was good. He said, hi. Nice comment. Hi.
What's going on?
Hello back. If you want to add anything else to that, let us know because we're going over fantasy values, talking the NBA playoffs. One more player, then let's get back to the NBA. I want to talk about Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley is a player who we had as like a top. He was considered one of the better receivers in the league while he was with Atlanta. Obviously gotten too involved in our space here, talking fantasy and potentially some other activities he should not be participating in. But Calvin Ridley is right now going as a top 20 wide receiver in fantasy. And to me, that is very interesting, right? Because they do have a guy named Christian Kirk on that team. They do have a guy named Trevor Lawrence who is growing and expanding. So there's a lot of range of outcomes for Calvin Ridley. He could be this premier receiver. He could be kind of a second fiddle to Christian Kirk, or maybe have his numbers go down a little bit. When it comes to Calvin Ridley, I think it's going to take a year. When you take a year and a half off of football, that does a number for you, right? Like it takes a while for you to get in the groove. And he was even struggling with the mental health stuff earlier that year. Like there was a lot going on with Calvin Ridley. I think he'll be good, but I do think it'll take time for him to adjust. And I think even as a receiver, you can't just step back on the field and be precise and be perfect. I like Calvin Ridley, but not as a top 20 wide receiver. I think we got to show some respect to Christian Kirk to earn that $20 million contract. And then Trevor Lawrence, right? T-Law. Yo, let me ask you this. Can you name 5 better quarterbacks than Trevor Lawrence right now?
I don't know if I can. I'd put him right there. I mean, hey, he's so young and he is only going to get better. Like, it's hard for me with some of these older guys, right?
Mahomes? Mahomes, who's better, Mahomes or T-Law?
Mahomes, Burrow.
Lamar?
Are you going?
Who you got, Lamar or T-Law?
I think I'm still leaning Lamar.
Lamar? Josh Allen?
I'm going Josh Allen.
Oh, I don't know if I got him over Josh Allen.
Really?
I think, you know where I think it is? I think that Josh Allen is there, but I feel like we're getting to a point where like Trevor Lawrence is starting to ascend and Josh Allen is like starting to hover, right? He's reached his peak and they're going to take less off him in the run game. So I feel like we haven't seen the best of Trevor Lawrence yet. So maybe Josh Allen's here, but this is like the trajectory for Trevor Lawrence is like this right now.
So who would you rather have? Jalen Hurts or Trevor Lawrence?
This season or long term?
Long term.
Trevor Lawrence. I got Trevor Lawrence over him. Okay. To be honest, maybe I'm jumping the gun here. I could be. I told you I do this. But I think Trevor Lawrence will be a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts this season.
Wow.
I do.
So Herbert or Trevor Lawrence?
That's the range. Like I feel like there's a lot of disrespect thrown on Herbert's name last year. I don't think Herbert is elite yet. I think he's up there, but he's not like the elite quarterbacks are Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar to me. Those are the 3 elite guys. And then after that, we get the Jalen Hurts, the Josh Allen, the Trevor Lawrences, and the Justin Herberts. Like that's that same range to me. I got T-Law over Justin Herbert, and it's the same thing. I feel like with Herbert, starting to peak a little bit, right? Like we know what to expect. That 4,500 to 5,000, he's a 5,000-yard QB, right? 30 touchdowns. We know that. Trevor Lawrence, we still don't know what he is yet. That's scary to say.
So for the 2023 season, right?
Yeah.
Would you rather have Aaron Rodgers just for the year, or would you rather have Trevor Lawrence
As my starting quarterback
as your
in real
starting
football,
quarterback in real football?
Trevor Lawrence.
Wow.
Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
I'm on the Trevor Lawrence train, bro.
I was not aware of this. I was not
Oh yeah.
not a
This is it. Last season, one thing he was dealing with a lot was like fumbles. And I know we're kind of getting like sidetracked from it, but he was dealing a lot with fumbles last year. Like, and that's kind of been one of his knocks is the turnovers, and they come in rashes, right? He's had multiple turnovers at a time. Where I think we saw him grow and mature, more 300-yard games, more poise in the pocket, more ability to find wins late in the year, the ability to come back in the playoffs from the Chargers 27-0. We all saw it. I think there's a lot of maturity that happened for Trevor Lawrence over this last year. And we all talked about the generational talent with Trevor Lawrence when he came out. Now he's got weapons.
Yeah.
ETN is healthy. He's got the right coaching with Doug Peterson. They added Calvin Ridley. I think Trevor Lawrence is in for a massive year. Now, Trevor Lawrence is going as a QB8 in fantasy. I think that's about right. But he has upside for way, way more. I'm excited about T-Law. That's my guy. All right, enough. We get back to the NBA real quick. There was a note that came in too from our guy Ladarius Brown. Shout out Ladarius Brown. Said, I'm on the fence about Monty. So kind of in agreement with you there, but CP3 and Ayton do got to go. He's right, bro. Like CP3 and Ayton are gone. That Monty thing, though, that's driving me wild. I'm not going to lie. Like it's kind of weird to speculate on that, but I think one more season with Monty is what we got. Let me ask you this. Jason Tatum, is he him?
God,
he said he's the best. He said he's one of the best in the world.
Yeah, it's crazy because like I was ready, with 5 minutes left in that fourth quarter, I was ready to come on the show on Friday and be like, I didn't care if they won or lost, and just be like, you know what, Tatum's not built for the lights. Like he's not there. Maybe it's gonna happen over time, but then he comes out and hits 4 3-pointers, just takes over that ball game, literally sends them back to Boston. We're like, Marcus Smart should not be taking these shots. And suddenly Tatum's like, I'm going to take every shot. I'm going to make every shot. I mean, he was just ridiculous down the line. And I get that players struggle, but like, if they had lost that game, imagine they lost that game. He was like 1 for 13. He was 1 for 14.
Yeah,
right?
He was 14 at one point.
That's like, there's bad, and then there's 1 for 14. Like, I don't think I've ever seen, Kobe or LeBron or any of these like guys go.
I know Kobe's had some bad shooting.
Yeah, and like a
shooting.
game 6 season on the line against a team that we've discussed a million times. Like, Doc Rivers has more 3-2 series blown leads. 3-1. I don't think he's been to the conference finals since it's been so long. Like if they had gone out,
2013 was the last time.
2013 was the last time.
Yeah.
I mean, if they'd lost that game and your best player, supposedly one of the best players in the entire world, goes 1 for 13 or 1 for 14, I have a lot of question marks there. But hey, you know what? Tatum shut me up. We'll see what happens game 7. It's in Boston. I don't like Philadelphia's chances here, but
he said humbly, I'm one of the best players in the world.
I love when he adds humbly.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. And he struggled, man. The thing is, I loved seeing that because I'm not, in this space, it's easy to give up on players. It's easy to say some people aren't built for the lights, or that they're not ready for the moment. But I love seeing that Tatum stepped up to the moment. It was like, hey, in the fourth quarter, everybody in the world knew when he came in, all eyes were on Tatum.
Yeah.
He was missing every shot. Jaylen Brown was actually carrying that team leading in the third quarter, carrying that team. And when he stepped into the game, it was like they were down and they needed a big performance out of Tatum in the fourth quarter, and they got it. Big 3 after big 3. And I think Tatum is still that dude. He's still a younger player. He's somebody I would still continue to build around. But Jaylen Brown, I don't know if you saw this. He sat the entire fourth quarter, like almost until like 2 minutes left in the game. They were hot without him, and it was basically like they were almost better. They're better separate. They know their roles. Jason Tatum knows he's all-NBA first team. Jaylen Brown knows he's all-NBA second team. So when they come into games, sometimes it feels like it almost feels like Russ and KD. Like there's like some kind of friction, on-court friction that doesn't allow them to play as well, I should say, on the floor together. I wonder how that dynamic is going to play out in Game 7.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure with Jaylen Brown making All-NBA, he's now he's able to make that Supermax contract or whatever. And, with every game and with every series, I feel like we'll see what happens here down the line. But if this team doesn't win the finals, I mean, that probably changes some things. But we have to start asking, like, is this duo, like, is this Brown going to go a separate way and kind of to have his own team? Like, I wouldn't even blame him because, he's such a great player, right? I imagine putting myself in that situation, being on the bench in a game 6, win or go home in the fourth quarter. And I'd be like, I would not be happy. I'll put it that way. I would not be happy.
I wouldn't either. But if the team wins and you got your boy out there, and it's like you said, the finals winning cures all. So Celtics can go to the finals and win, it'll cure all. But how do you pay those guys? If you were to keep one, who would you keep? Because $500 million, $600 million to keep both this offseason is wild.
Yeah, I'm still keeping Tatum. I love Jaylen Brown, but I'm still leaning Tatum.
I'm with you there. Shout out to Rob Williams, by the way, who came in and was like dominating defensively, rebounds, making hustle plays. I would say he's one of the differences in the game. So they need some more big minutes out of him, especially game 7. There is some pressure though. Game 7 pressure. We're going to see it on Sunday. Doc Rivers, Harden, Embiid, another game 7. Do they blow? Is there any way they blow this again?
I think there's a really good chance. 3-2 lead? I think there's a really good chance. And I was watching the end of that game last night, and I was almost screaming at the TV, like, Embiid should be taking almost every shot. I feel like he needed to be more involved there towards the end of things. And, they put themselves, that was the game. It's kind of what you talked about here with, we're going to get to it with Golden State and the Lakers. It's like, you're at home. You have a chance to close out the series. You don't want to go back to Boston, and you unfortunately weren't able to get it done. So
now you got to go back into Boston, try to get this thing done. I think we're not going to be able to talk about it. I got the Celtics in this one. I think the Celtics win, head to the Eastern Conference Finals. Most likely a rematch with the Miami Heat, who have a game 6 tonight.
You see
Miami Heat at home.
Scott Foster, baby.
3-2. Scott Foster in the building. The extender.
That game 7 at the Garden. Are you kidding me? That's all the NBA wants.
The Heat are 0-5 with him this year, reffing their games. They're like 1-14 over the last 14 games. The Heat are with Scott Foster reffing, and he's here for game 6 in Miami. Bruh, this is going 7. I hate that Scott Foster, that we know his name and that it's so damn accurate when he's in, the series goes on, and these numbers do not lie. The Heat are going to lose tonight. And you know what? It's not just because of Scott Foster. Jimmy Butler has not looked the same since that ankle injury and since that first round matchup. He looks like a different player than he did against the Bucks. So to me, I'm looking at it as like, hey, is he healthy enough to be on the court? He's not dropping those 40, 30-point games. It's a little more subtle now. I know a lot of those early concerns we had about the Knicks earlier on in the series, they're starting to quiet those. Their play last game gave me a little bit of optimism. I thought they were going to lay down. I think the Knicks win this game. And I think it's because the Heat are not right now. Some of those injuries are starting to catch up to them, including Jimmy Butler's. And I think he'll be out there. I think he'll be effective. But I think the Knicks are going to win tonight.
And what about Jalen Brunson playing 48 minutes and dropping 40? Dude, oh my gosh.
Anything that leads to a win. Anything that leads to a win. I've held off. I don't know if you noticed.
We've made it, 30 minutes here?
I've held up.
How is that even possible?
I don't know if I've dropped the word. I have dropped the word. Like I said it. I said it. But we got to talk about it. Game 6 tonight. Lakers, Warriors. 3-2 lead for the Lakers. A lot of people were back on this Warriors train, man. They had a good game 5. Lakers didn't look that good. Now, the Warriors, if they could go steal game 6, it's over. The Lakers will win tonight. The show is over. The Warriors dynasty, done, dada. It's over. Draymond, gone. Klay Thompson might be gone. But I know one thing. I hope Golden State Warriors all got good travel agents, because it's over tonight, baby.
I remember this. I think you said something very similar on Wednesday's show before.
No receipts. No, I don't want to hear no receipts. I don't want to hear no receipts.
Then again, I said campaign was terrible and he scored 31 points. So,
I think I was speaking more from the heart. Like the heart, game 5. Game 6, the Lakers have not lost at home this entire postseason. The Warriors have struggled on the road this entire season. I know they went to Sacramento and went to, but this is a different person. This ain't De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis. This is LeBron James and AD, who have shown throughout the course of this postseason that they can win at home and even win big. In a game against Memphis, we saw them drop 40 points, or have a 40-point victory. Now they will need AD.
Dude,
I'm not going to be too hard on him. I'm not. I want to be. Everything in me wants to go crazy on AD right now for getting injured again, getting carried off in a wheelchair for a non-concussion. Everything in me wants to. But you never know the severity of somebody's injury. Although they announced yesterday he'll be playing in Game 6, so it makes me question a lot of things. It does make me question a lot of things. But, man, I'm like, AD, man, what version are we getting tonight? It's Game 6. The series is on the line because I genuinely think this is a must. This game is the series. The Lakers win tonight, series is over, they win. They lose tonight, Warriors win the series in 7, series is over. Whoever wins tonight is winning the series.
yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said there. And I kind of want to switch back to Golden State here. You know, when is Klay Thompson going to show up? You know, Steph Curry can't do it all. He's been fantastic this entire series, you know, but Klay Thompson continues to look like a shell of himself. It's Game 6, you know, Klay went to OKC, did his thing. We'll see what he can do in LA tonight. But I'm totally with you. I think if you're a Lakers fan, you know, you have to be confident going into this because they have yet to lose. Now, saying that, I think someone said yesterday, Denver throughout the regular season and the postseason had yet to win at Phoenix, right? I think all their games have basically been blown out because, you know, every game Phoenix was scoring like 125, 130 points. Different side of Denver showed up. We'll see what the Lakers can do. Anthony Davis, big game. I expect LeBron, you know, I think LeBron's going to do his thing. And then the question is which role player is going to step up big for the Lakers.
We haven't seen the explosive LeBron performance. I think we saw, you know, a game he had 20 and 20. You know, he had against the Grizzlies, but we haven't seen the 30-point LeBron game since April. LeBron hasn't dropped 30 since April. This is Game 6. They wear the 6 on their jersey. He got a 6 on his jersey. It's Game 6. LeBron, this is your game, bro. Not Klay Game 6. This is LeBron Game 6. Close it out tonight. Your boy AD's in there going through migraines. Probably got a lot going on in his head right now. Birdies are chirping all over his head. Tweet, 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 tweet. LeBron, this is your time, dog. We don't need to rely on Lonnie Walker, D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, Dennis Schroeder, Jared Vanderbilt, none of the other guys. This is your closeout game. You've been rested. Your foot, I know the foot is sore, but if you want a little extra rest between now and Tuesday, this is the game to get it done. LeBron, in the Warriors dynasty tonight. It will happen. LeBron James drops his first 30 bombs since April. Bye Warriors dynasty. You think if they lose tonight, Matt, Warriors dynasty's done?
I think it is. I think we'll see some moves made. You know, I'm still – it's funny because going into the playoffs, I picked the Warriors to come out of the West, so I've had to stand by that take. And then I had the Bucks, and that obviously went to shit real fast. But the Lakers, you know, there's no denying the fact that they've been basically unbeatable at home. And if you're Golden State, someone's going to have to step up besides Steph Curry. I mean, I think we talked about it, but Game 5 was their opportunity, and they blew that. They win Game 4. Game 4. I'm losing track which game's which.
You can't mess up on the show, bro.
I know. I'm messing up. Game 4. Like, that was their opportunity. They blow Game 4. You know, they win Game 5. But, hey, you know what? It's hard for me to say this because I'm not a Golden State fan, but I picked Golden State. It seemed like
I think I turned you into one, huh?
Maybe. Maybe I'm just jealous of the fact that your 49ers are good, your Lakers are good. But I think the Lakers do get it done tonight.
It's cool. That's why I'm cheering on the Knicks. I want to beat the Heat. You know, the Heat knocked y'all out. I got to see somebody knock the Heat out. I don't want to see the Heat in the finals. But, you know, you mentioned the Nuggets winning on the road against the Suns. And here they are, the only team that's in the Western Conference Finals. Jokic was averaging damn near a triple-double all season long. Best team in the West, in the hardest conference. Do we underrate the Suns all year? I mean, the Nuggets all year long. Are they the best team in the league?
After what I've watched in this playoffs, it's hard for me to say. Like, everyone else, Boston's struggling. You look across the board, Golden State barely got past Sacramento. The Lakers have been good, but like you said, Denver finished at the very top of that for a reason. And I think we all kind of expected it to play out the way it has. I also had a lot of question marks about Jamal Murray. Like, I didn't know if Jamal Murray was going to get back to that form that we saw before his injury, when bubble Jamal and all that.
Yeah.
But the way Jokic is able to just take over a basketball game, they're near unstoppable. They have guys, I feel like they're really well built too. And I know they struggled defensively at times at the beginning of the year, but they've gotten better defensively. And offensively, it's like they got shooters, they got go-to guys. Jokic can get a bucket whenever he wants. And when Jamal Murray is playing like that, and he can create a shot for himself, and he can knock down anything, I mean, I think they're a really tough team to beat.
They're a tough team. And they went out and got some sneaky additions. KCP and Bruce Bowen have been playing lights out this year. And that Brown kid, the rookie, too, has been balling this year, especially even in the postseason. They're a tough team, man. And I genuinely think the championship will be the Western Conference Finals. Whatever team comes out the Western Conference Finals is winning it all. They'll beat the Sixers, they'll beat the Celtics. And it'll be the Warriors, Lakers, or Nuggets in that reverse order. So Nuggets, Lakers, Warriors is what I think. All three of those teams are probably the favorite. The Nuggets, man, going and beating the Suns team down. They beat them down in Game 6. And, that was the team I know a lot of people in the industry thought they could be the best team in the West. Now, I know it was without Chris Paul and Ayton, but to go in there and demolish them on the road the way that they did, the Nuggets were sending a message. We've seen, like you mentioned, Jamal Murray playing at a high level. MPJ, my guy, his car value's continuing to go up. Yes, the investment's starting to pay off. But this team is loaded with talent. Aaron Gordon is looking like a threat on offense and defense, and sometimes as a facilitator and a shooter. He's really elevated his game. So this Nuggets team, man, is super deep, well coached. Mike Malone out there with the raspy voice, still making things happen. I like the Nuggets, man. They're a good team, man. Yeah. And they're going to be a very tough out for whoever. They're the number one seed for a reason. I'll just say that. We talked about the Nuggets, though, bouncing. CP3, man. He got called out on Twitter. Did you see that? Dwight Howard.
Oh, my God.
Had a little tweet action, and it was perfectly timed. Dwight Howard just texted Taiwan calling. Taiwan calling. Dwight, we just talked about Dwight having a lot of fun out in Taiwan, right? Living it up. CP3 is 38 years old now. He's getting towards the end. And it seemed like, you had to have a reference there. Oh, guess what? There absolutely was. Chris Paul said after the deadline, if I can't win with KD, I'm going to Taiwan to play with Dwight Howard. Shots fired from Dwight Howard's side. Yes. Dwight Howard said, Taiwan calling. You think Chris Paul actually take him up on that?
Chris Paul's not going to Taiwan. Come on.
Hell no, he's not going to Taiwan. You know where he is going, though? He going to Maui. He going to be on a cruise somewhere with the Banana Boat gang. That's where Chris Paul going right now. 18 years, no ring, man. CP0 is what they started calling, man. One last thing before we get off. I'm Trey Lance. One more thing. I was going to talk about Trey Lance.
Yeah.
It came out. Oh, no. Two more things to talk about. First one's Trey Lance, though. Came out that his finger was a big issue last year, and then more so even than his ankle, that affected his throwing motion, affected his ability to deliver the ball. That was the finger injury he had from the previous year. He was still dealing with it. Kyle Shanahan came out and said he looks great this offseason. Do we really have a super quarterback controversy now in San Francisco with Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, and Sam Darnold, who looks like the greatest thrower of the football the Niners have ever had? There's a real controversy out there. I still expect Trey Lance to come in there and win that job. And Kyle Shanahan also followed that up with, we expect him to be great for a long time in this league. So there's a lot to that, Matt. If you had to pick one opening starter for the Niners right now, who's it going to be?
I think you got to give the ball to Trey Lance. I just can't see a world where you start like Sam Darnold and have Trey Lance backing him up. I also think, you invested so much in Trey Lance where it's like, if you're not going to give the kid a shot, then what was the point of all this?
But Brock Purdy goes undefeated, except for the game where he got hurt against the Eagles. Goes undefeated. You're putting that on the bench game one, Matt? Is that what you're doing? Coach Matt, Coach M. Bone Is that what you're doing?
I think I am. I look at San Francisco and I think to myself, like, this team is so like stupidly talented on offense, right? Like they check the boxes everywhere. And I think it was, you know, was it one of the San Francisco players? I saw something where they're like, if we had just had like a quarterback on our roster, like in the playoffs, we would have won that game, right?
Yeah.
Which makes me kind of question, like, how does he feel? Like, I get, don't get me wrong. I think Brock Purdy was fantastic. What he was able to accomplish was nothing short of incredible, especially with how hard it is to play quarterback as a rookie in the National Football League. But I'm throwing my guy out there that I, traded up for, that I invested in, that I've basically, said, like, told the rest of the league, this is the next guy. Like, this is going to be the guy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put him out there week 1. God forbid if it does not work out, hey, I'll fall back on Brock Purdy. All right. He started on the bench at the beginning of the year. I'm giving Trey Lance a shot. How do you feel, Justin? Like, who are you put? Come on, you got a Trey Lance jersey. There's no way you're going against me on this.
Jersey. And so there's two sides of me, right? Like the guy, I have two versions. I have the coach version. The coach version of me says, put the guy in who can make the best play, the best talent. I want to win a football game. The most upside. That's Trey Lance, in my opinion. There's a wide range of outcomes, but I feel like if I'm the coach and I put my guys in the right spot, I want the most talented player that can do that. Give me Trey Lance, and I'll make the rest work. That's the coach side of me. I feel like that's the perfect way to go. The GM side, which I know that's a different position, but now I'm looking at contracts. I'm looking at fan base. I'm looking at a lot of other things. I actually would go with Brock Purdy. So I'm kind of with John Lynch. I think I would go with Brock Purdy. The reason why is because the fan base, A, is going to be pissed off. If Trey Lance struggles early on, the Boo Birds come in, you get your crowd a completely different way, right? You want to have positive momentum going into the season, and the Niners have one of the hardest schedules coming into the year. You also deal with the contract talks, right? Brock Purdy, if he plays well, cool. You can extend him in the middle of the season. Trey Lance is your backup. You can try to move him before the trade deadline. So you get a chance to see what that looks like in game 1, game 2. There's also the fact of, hey, if Brock Purdy isn't that good, we can use the injury as an excuse, relegate him back to the bench if he plays bad. Now Trey Lance has the fans behind him. He's the guy they're excited about. And we can trade the last pick in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, before the trade deadline, or have a solid backup who we know is capable of winning games. It's like it just gives the Niners a little bit more flexibility. So I think as the GM, I would go Brock Purdy. But as a coach, I want my dogs in Trey Lance.
Who do you think the players want?
Players probably want Purdy. He won games.
Purdy?
I think it's divided. I think you're going to get half the team that's like, Purdy's my guy, and you're going to get a lot of others who are like, don't forget about Trey Lance. I think the receivers, the offensive players, they probably want Trey. The defensive guys, the O linemen, the blockers, they want Purdy. It's like I feel like there probably is a little divide in that locker room. We got a whole off season to talk about it, man, because it's going to go crazy. The one thing that came out, though, Matt, before we get off, the schedule released social media stuff, bro.
Ooh.
Your Bears did a hell of a job, dog. Did you see it?
I did. I honestly was just blown away. I didn't know if you saw Jacksonville. Did you see Jacksonville?
I did not see Jacksonville. I got to check them out.
You got to go watch. Jacksonville's incredible. It's basically, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's as if the NFL was scripted, right? And there's script writers, right? So it's in the perspective of like the script writers for Jacksonville, right?
Oh,
it's
gosh.
absolutely incredible.
Oh, yeah.
That was the highlight of it for me. I was happy with the Bears. I didn't really know the Bears social media team for me is like middle of the pack. Like I don't think like they don't ever like blow me away, but they really raised the bar. And it's so funny because this is the biggest day. That was the biggest day of the year for the social media teams. And they, all across the way, they crushed it, man.
Spice Adams, Justin Fields in there taking orders. Like I thought the way the delivery of it was phenomenal. So that was like a damn movie, like a little movie clip. It was the production level was crazy. Like the other one I thought was really good was Tennessee Titans. I saw it on TikTok.
Yes.
And they go through and they're asking, who are the logos? Who are the logos? And it's funny because the Colts logo kept coming up. They're like, it's the Dallas Cowboys. Like basically what happened was they're interviewing these girls on the street, guys on the street who don't really know football, you can tell. And they're showing them a picture of the logo. And then they have to guess the team. So it'll be like the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're like, is that the Cheetah, Chester Cheeto from Cheetos? And so the Tennessee Titans team goes and shows that on the next screen. You got to watch it if you haven't had a chance. They show all the teams that they play. It's super funny. So, and then the Cardinals had a little roast session too. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see that. No.
Oh yeah, they got the Niners pretty good. It was they were doing songs. They did songs, and I am gonna ruin it for you. They did Trey Lance. Like the song they did with Trey Lance was Beyonce's "Irreplaceable." So the song, I can have another you in a minute. I thought it was hilarious, bro. Like these social media teams, like if you haven't checked them out, man, go check out some of those. Jacksonville, the Titans, the Cardinals. There's a whole lot more. But Matt, my man, what you got planned for the weekend?
Not much. Just gonna watch some basketball tonight. Basketball Sunday. I'm going to Savannah Sunday, so a little traveling.
What's out in Savannah?
We're going. There's this. It's called the Savannah Bananas, right? So they're like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. Yeah, they do.
So hold on. The Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. There's only one ball and there's only one bat and only one glove. How do you do Harlem Globetrotters?
Like sometimes the ball's on fire. Sometimes they're like on stilts, like hitting the baseball. Like my favorite part of everything that they do is there's a rule where if a fan catches a ball like on a foul ball, the player's out.
Oh, what? What?
Yeah, so
is like national and everything, or do they just do it there?
I think they just started. It's only gotten big the last year or two. It blew up, of course, over like TikTok and Instagram clips and all that good stuff. But I think they started a tour. They basically play the same team, I'm pretty sure, every time, kind of like the Globetrotters do. But I'm excited. We're gonna go out there, just spending 2 days in Savannah. I'm hoping the weather's nice. I really
have some fun out there, man. I'm gonna be watching some lacrosse. My son's playing lacrosse and it's come out here to the West Coast. It's normally East Coast thing. It's his final game, man. So I'll be watching him ball out this week. And also relaxing in my chair on Sunday because I will not be watching a Game 7. The Lakers handle business tonight. I already know. For myself, Justin Henry, my guy M-Bone HD, Matt, we will see you next week. Peace out to the Champions Round family. Salute to y'all. We'll see you next week.